Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. You've got the Cousins brothers right here, and we've got a lot of UFO videos for you tonight, including an interview with Travis Walton, the famous abductee. But right now, we're looking at something captured by amateur astronomer of what looks to be some kind of possible moon base. I want to get your thoughts in this live premiere, guys. We're looking at something. Could be smoking gun. Guys, I want to get your thoughts here.
Yeah, TikToker finds a base on the moon. Well, that's a big question right now. And we're looking at something that it's leaving us a little stunned. It's interesting. It does look like towers and some kind of a bulbous kind of like, placements right there on a ridge. What are we looking at here? Or could it be just pareidolia and we're all, looking into something that's not really there? I'm not sure, but this is going to leave people, talking. What's your opinion, guys?
Yeah, apparently this was shot during a live stream from a TikToker, and he put it up, and we're looking at it, and definitely it looks almost like a city built into a crater. But again, like you said, Brian, it could be pareidolia. We want to get your thoughts. We're not saying that this is smoking gun, but it definitely looks interesting during this live stream. Look at this. It seems out of place, whatever we're looking at here. What do you guys think? Is this a secret moon base captured on live TikTok stream or something else? Guys, we want to get your thoughts. Now, more videos just into third phase. Take a look at this. All right, let's take a look at this. Once again, we're going to get a close-up look of this cylindrical illuminated object just hovering off the ground, maybe about 200, 300 feet up in the sky. It just seems to vanish into thin air. It's not an airplane. It's not any kind of drone. This is crazy footage.
Yeah, look at that. Does it go behind a ridge? Yeah, it looks like it goes behind a mountainside, but this does not look like any commercial liner. I don't see it. No wings, no tail. Interesting footage. New stuff just in. Check this out.
Oh, que porra é essa?
All right, we're going to look at this once again. It almost looks like a rain hailstorm, something out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Take a look at this. The object just go right over the car. You could hear the person. He was like, what the heck is going on? Guys, I want to get your thoughts. Is this a manipulated AI? Possibly. It looks pretty good, but wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is pretty legit. What I like about it, plus we're adding a little brightness contrast. I was looking for any kind of lines, maybe some power lines that there could be some lights hanging on, but I don't see anything except these 4 illuminated orange lights just fly right over the car. And you can see it's raining, everything's splashing down. This is cool stuff. It's straight out of, like you just said, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
After the enhancements here, you can see a shape. It's actually, you can see a black square or a rectangular craft right there. You see it. There's a black shadow. I didn't see that at first, but right here, you look at the original, you kind of just think that there's 4 balls of light, but then you do see like this rectangular black craft there supporting the lights itself.
You're actually bringing in that brightness contrast. If I didn't do that, we wouldn't have seen that this is actually one solid object. If this is indeed real, we're looking at one craft. You do see the corners, the edges. It's all connected. They're not just individual orbs floating. We're looking at something incredible right here.
It's good to be with everybody here tonight. Again, we have a exclusive interview with Travis Walton coming up in just a few moments, but before we get to that, I want to get your thoughts. What was captured in this rainy, almost looks like a hailstorm on this road, just hovering right over the car there? What an incredible capture. I don't know, the guy's not swerving to get out of the way. I would have thought it would be almost like a head-on collision, but I would have kind of swerved out of the way if I saw this coming directly at me. But I don't know, guys, I want to get your thoughts. I think like you said, Brett, it's looking pretty legitimate. One more time here. Look at this. You can see yeah, it's pretty good stuff there, guys. We've got a lot of stuff for you here for you tonight. And this was a crazy interview that we had with Travis Walton, famous abductee in Sholo, Arizona. Enjoy this. Let us know your thoughts. Travis,
Hey.
welcome to Third Phase Moon. Thanks for having us over here in Arizona. We're in the location, or close to the location where it all went down. And there's a lot of people out there that are really fascinated about your story. You're world famous in regards to this phenomenon, but we're going to get into some other things that people might not know about you, Travis. And first off, people want to know what happened prior to this. Were you a believer in UFOs? Did you have any experiences prior? What was your first impression before the event?
I had actually had some sightings before. It's not unusual up in this country because, you live in the out of doors, and it's an area where the skies are clear much of the time.
When you're out here, you kind of feel a presence because a lot of people say they do see strange lights in the skies and strange, experiences in the woods. Have you had any other experiences after this event?
Well, yeah, I did.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's go for a walk, Travis.
All right. My son and I and a girlfriend went to a MUFON meeting. It was held at Burbank, California, Burbank MUFON. And Tracy Torme, the screenwriter on Fire in the Sky, and the head of MUFON both spoke there. And then after it was over, we were headed home, and we saw this light in the distance. It was just coming towards us. And then it was apparent that it was moving extremely fast. When you're watching an airport, a jet airliner come into the airport, they seem like they're barely moving. But if they weren't doing a couple of 100 miles an hour, they'd fall out of the sky. This thing just came so fast, stopped right over the top of us. It was, the closer it got, we could see that it was 3 lights, not 1. A light on each corner of this giant triangle, and I mean gigantic. It was unbelievably huge. Stopped right over the top of us. When it stopped, it kind of went like that a little bit. And then the point light did a 90 degrees, pointed towards the west, towards the Pacific, and shot off. How could something that big move that fast? I'd have never told anybody, but by the next morning, we found out that there was a website, took 15 other reports. And I'd never even heard of the site, and after having happened to me what did, just an obscure website takes 15 reports. But in a city that size, you can imagine there must have been hundreds of people that saw what we saw.
So we're talking about the black triangle, and it's dubbed the TR3B. Some people speculate.
No. That annoys the hell out of me. That's saying it's a military thing. No way. That's just stupid. This thing, we don't have anything like that. You couldn't keep that kind of a thing secret. It flies faster than anything we have, and it's been around since the 80s. When did we have something like that back then?
So you think the black triangle is definitely something otherworldly? And
yeah. I mean, where are you going to park this thing? You're going to have a hangar half a mile wide somewhere? Our enemies have satellites too, and they're watching everything.
It's interesting too, because some people actually state that, let me ask you, what do you think of the Roswell crash of 47? And do you think that technology has been reverse engineered in present day?
I think that there's been a great deal of technology that was harvested. And all these people are saying, oh, I want disclosure, I want disclosure. They're not thinking, look, our enemies want disclosure too. They would love to know exactly what we have, so they'll know if what they have is superior to what they have. So I am not in favor of disclosure. There's good reasons to keep it secret. because I'm sure our enemies have their own ideas about technology, maybe even recovered different crashes and things of that sort, maybe even shot them down. But I don't think it would be wise to let our enemies know exactly what we don't have and do have, because that's what they would want.
So when you talk about this disclosure that you actually don't want it, is it due to the fact that because it could be too dangerous and the people can't handle the truth? You know, there are things that could be disclosed, maybe like free energy, maybe not these propulsion devices.
With the idea that they're not coming down and landing on the White House lawn, it might be for our benefit, not theirs. They're not afraid of us. They are just trying to exercise the equivalent of the non-interference directive, that any sort of open contact is going to be detrimental to a less developed society.
Is this what they communicated to you? Was there a message when you're taking aboard the craft?
I won't claim it's a message, but I've had 47 years to think about this, and I don't think that it would be beneficial to suddenly have free energy. The world's economy survives on petrodollars. Jerk all that away overnight, and you're going to have economic collapse worldwide, and riots and rebellions and terrible things would happen.
You know, it's interesting, Travis, because your ideology and your thought process on this is quite unique from other people in this field in regards to full disclosure and the power of the petrol. So let me ask you, would it be possible that there would be maybe some kind of disclosure that would put out the greed and then bring forth, you know, this free energy where we could put the people out of business that control? So basically you're saying it's impossible for that to happen.
Well, I'll say this, the people of Earth just aren't ready, and they show it all the time. I mean, look at this. You know, Stan Friedman used to say, what would these advanced beings want to have to do with us? Our major interest is intertribal warfare, and it's been going on forever, and it never ceases. These other civilizations fly over and observe us, and it's constant war. Earn it. The technology that they might impart, and you know immediately there'd be demands for more technology and how to blow up your neighbor a little better.
Absolutely, and that's what this technology and this propulsion seems, that's the danger behind it, because these craft apparently been clocked at moving 30,000 miles an hour and probably much, much faster,
yeah,
as far as we're aware of, and a lot of this is classified. What makes you think that our governments should be in control of disclosure? And is it up to the governments or is it up to them?
Well, any sort of disclosure that might occur would hinge on what they know. I mean, when they justify looking into the subject, they always use defense notions. You know, this thing is faster than our jets, this thing can evade us, we need to know for that reason. They can't justify going to Congress for money to investigate this on the basis of, boy, it sure would be neat to know this stuff, you know. So they've got to focus in their justifications for looking into it. And so what they know is going to focus mainly on those kinds of issues. A guy comes up to me and he says, you know, you keep saying you don't see them as hostile. He says, what about these people who are abducted and then they're dissected and you find their body? And I say, give me a name. And he gives me a name. I go, no, not somebody who's saying that happened. I'm giving me the name of a victim. And he gives me another name. I go, no, that's somebody that's telling us that this happened. Give me one name of somebody who was a victim of being dissected and left on the sidewalk.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that there's this thing that's been on the major media for almost 2 years now, saying these things are a threat. We don't know what they are. This technology is far more superior than anything in our private assets. But why do you think they continue to push this threat?
Because that's the only justification for expending government resources to research it. And we've got to see it as a potential threat. Otherwise, why are you stepping outside your bailiwick, you know? So,
well, it seems like the Congress has led everybody to believe that they're going to be opening up this office and they're going to be transparent, but in reality, it's more and more of like the Project Blue Book and anything prior to this new office of total cover-up of this. And the information is not going to be transparent as one may believe.
Well, these major sightings have been made for 60, 70 years that we know for sure. And nothing's happened yet. I mean, if they wanted this planet, they could take it overnight. We'd never know what happened. I can think of several ways an advanced technology could get rid of all the humans basically overnight. And that's not happening. So I don't think they're hostile.
Yeah, that's what basically there's this movie, obviously, Fire in the Sky, based on your abduction experience, but you say Hollywood got it all wrong. You may be working on a new movie coming out that tells a true story of what happened without the twist that Hollywood usually puts on this.
Well, you know, I kind of thought that way at the time. I felt, you know, that this was a terrifying experience. And, you know, at first I accepted the idea that I had been fired upon, but I've had a lot of years to think about it. And now I think maybe there's a lot of reasons to think that they were more benevolent than I was aware of. I was just terrified by the pain I was in, the strangeness of these beings, and just the fact that I was returned at all says a lot in their favor.
So you're missing for how many days? Approximately
5 days.
5 days. How long did it feel that you were missing? Like,
I thought it was the same night. I was apparently unconscious most of that time.
There was this scene. Some people are saying that you were in this black goo when you're.
That was Hollywood embellishment. There was no gooey stuff.
Was there any kind of nourishment that you were on the ship, or did you lose weight when you were?
Well, yeah, I did, and that, you know,
after 5 days, somebody, you know, the humans could only live without water for like 3 days maximum.
So the medical test, you know, examined my state physiologically, and I was, you know, replenished enough to keep me alive and all that, but I don't remember specifically drinking or eating anything.
What about some of these people that were there during that night? And some have claimed that, you know, this whole story was a hoax. And, you know, I remember something came out last week or about a month ago in regards to this kind of story floating around. And apparently the guy retracted. How do you still keep in touch with these people that?
Yeah, I still keep in touch with them, but, you know, it's really hard on them, the survivors. I think John handles it really well, but some of the others get extremely jealous. People rush right by them to talk to me. I mean, they were there too, you know, and had an important role in it. But so I think that's where that comes from. Some of the most ridiculous claims to try to undercut it. Well, we saw what happened to him, but we don't know what happened after that, or some kind of lame way to try to diminish what happened to me so that they can remain center of attention for being a witness. But I think that goes in fits and starts. And strange behavior. If they've got some kind of a claim that it never really happened, I'm going to challenge them to take a lie detector test that this isn't just made up because they're jealous. Because they're not going to be able to do that.
How many lie detector tests have you taken?
I've
so
taken
far?
5 different lie detector tests from the 3 different examiners with years of law enforcement experience. And heck, even Steve, he claims that every time he got a new wife, he'd get a new polygraph because they wouldn't believe him. But
there was this TV show that you're on recently offering $1 million with this. What was that all about? You know, in TV shows, they're pretty much set up to fail for the person trying to win the challenge.
It was rigged. It was totally rigged. Nobody ever passed. And they were being sued by a legitimate polygraph group out of New York City called Global Polygraph. That they were discrediting the whole thing of polygraph because the methods they were using was just completely designed to fail everybody. And
so it was like a setup.
Yeah, and one of the contestants, a woman who was on there and said, "No, I did not cheat on my husband." And they said, "Oh, but you did." And so she sued him.
Wow. And they're just trying to destroy.
And so they no longer exist because it was just a bogus show to start with. They violated every rule of polygraph. I had the procedure reviewed by the top experts in the field. The Global Polygraph guy, the head of that group, was the premier expert in the field. He was attacking them and saying there was no way anything that they had said was valid. And also the author of another major textbook on polygraph said that the methods that they were using was just a setup and guaranteed fail for everybody on the show. I was such a fool to be suckered in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How did they approach you?
I just lost my job at the paper mill, making, 20 some bucks an hour. And all of a sudden, along comes this offer. Hey, we'll pay you this huge amount of money. Just sit there and tell the truth. Well, I know I can do that. I mean, if I didn't know that I could, why would I do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd already passed polygraph tests with legitimate law enforcement polygraph examiners. And
well, it's interesting too, because you're not alone in this. It's like you have these people that experienced it, witnessed it with their own eyes of you being taken, and obviously it's traumatizing for them as well. Let me back it up. And after you went missing, well, apparently everybody thought you did, and they blamed your friends as accusing them of murdering you, or for some reason behind the disappearance. And the police officer was the sheriff, I think, was suspicious of them of doing nefarious things to you. But was that portrayed correctly in the movie, or did the sheriff actually believe their stories?
They were suspected of murdering me initially, and some of my family members felt that way. But the longer that the sheriff investigated it, the more believing he became, because every alternative explanation wasn't panning out. And then, of course, after everybody passed the lie detector test, and that really changes things. Some people have the dumbest ideas about polygraph. Oh, all that does is measure stress. Heck, all you got to do is drink a couple of beers, go in there, and you'll pass it. No, you won't. And the polygraph requires you to respond normally to known lie questions, and then alongside the ones that they're interested in the answer of. So tranquilizers and alcohol are not going to make you pass a polygraph test. Well, these people that think they can just, anybody can lie through a polygraph test, they don't work, and stupid stuff like that. It remains a fact that the FBI and the CIA use polygraph to screen their own people.
It's actually a fact, and it is more in depth than what this TV show did. And obviously, there's people out there that want to discredit you, set you up. But the main thing is, you believe 100% that you were abducted, but also there are people that could corroborate this because they were there that witnessed it. But let's get into a little bit more of this experience that you had with the TR3B, because again, that's fascinating. There's a lot of people that...
You could call it that if you want. Call it a giant black triangle. I'll agree with that.
So do you think this is coming in from another solar
I do not
system?
think it's TR3B.
Yeah.
That's just something somebody made up to sound knowledgeable and inside loop and all that stuff.
Some people say that these abduction scenarios are government operated, and some of these beings are biologically created by government factions to make it appear that there's abduction going on otherworldly, but in fact it's being controlled by secret government black op projects.
Well, that's one way to explain it, but I can come up with another 10 explanations to say there's nothing. We're alone in the universe. Earth is populated by humans, and there's 1 trillion planets out there, and they're all empty because we're special.
What makes you special?
Now, that's wackier than the idea that they come here.
Why did they think they singled you out?
I think I made a bad move. I don't think it was their intention. It was just I got too close and was injured.
If you had a second chance, would you do it again?
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather it never happened. But I got out, got too close. I was, kind of showing off for the guys, and I live to regret it, and I still regret it.
There's these health issues that you had prior, apparently, and apparently you think that they were there to medically do some medical work with you because you were damaged by this beam.
Yeah.
And it basically may have killed you.
And I was looking for some sort of side effect in the years afterwards, but I worked 12 hours a day for the next 20 years and never missed a single day's work. Never called in sick one time.
So would you want to visit them again?
Yeah, I thought it would be great if I could have an explanation for things.
You got some questions for them?
Yeah.
Was there any kind of communication?
Well, that sighting that I had in after that Burbank MUFON meeting, my son said, Dad, should we pull over and take a picture? And I said, no, keep going. And I was just surprised at myself that I still had that residual fear, because I really wished that we had pulled over and taken a picture, because it was very low and very close.
Well, now let's talk about some of the ramifications of this and what happens after the fact and what people thought of you in this community. Were they afraid to approach you afterwards, thinking maybe this man's nuts?
Well, yeah, they had a tendency to sort of be very standoffish and very skeptical. And some people would come forward and make up stories, Well, when Travis was taken, the doctors found his stomach covered with dirty needle marks where he'd been shooting drugs. This is a lie. The medical doctors that examined me didn't find any such marks. They put blood and urine samples through the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's drug screen. No trace of any drug whatsoever. So, this guy was claiming to be the sheriff's nephew or something. And right off the bat, people on the web were jumping through the errors in his phony case, claiming that we met with the sheriff at the Red Robin Diner. Red Robin Diner didn't exist for another 6 or 8 years, something like that. And he goes, I mean the Red Onion. There is the Red Onion in Heber, but it too did not exist until about the time the Red Robin came out, long years after this. So it's just somebody trying to get attention and, claim to have an inside story, and they didn't.
What about other people that have experienced abduction scenarios? Do you keep in touch? I'm sure people contact you or would love to talk to you in regards to corroboration of
I do try to keep I'm willing to give support to people who have been through the kinds of things I've been through, but when people say which cases are good and which cases are not, I won't go there. I took great exception to people passing judgment on my case when they didn't have the facts. And so I'm not going to go research these other cases, so I'm not going to pass judgment on them either.
What about this new administration, and again, this new UFO office? Have you been contacted by the government in any government affiliation contacting you for advice?
No one's contacted me, although they probably have plenty of information on me. But I wouldn't mind talking to them, but they haven't contacted me yet.
Do you think we'll ever get disclosure from this new UAP office?
It could happen to a greater extent than has been granted so far, but it's mainly to validate that the phenomenon exists, but still pretend not to have anything of strategic importance, so they don't have to share that. And that's all well and good. It's amazing that if somebody doesn't want to believe something, they'll find a way. I mean, there's a justification for it. And so if they're open to the truth, I'll share it with them. If they don't want to hear it, then no amount of talking is going to change them.
So before we get going, we got one last question. The sun's going down, but it was amazing that we got to meet with you in the general area of your experience and the thing that basically changed your life forever. Again, it's interesting that there's so many people that see craft in this general area. Do you think this place might be a magnet? Is there some reason?
I think there could be. In that area where we were, has the highest frequency of lightning strikes of any place in the continental United States outside of Florida, the Florida Everglades. And so, basically over land, there's a very high frequency of lightning strikes there. And lightning, when it strikes the ground, forms a unique crystal called fulgurite that is quite rare and might be what they were in the area looking for. But it's, a remote area, it's clear skies, and so I think there's a higher frequency of sightings. And I think a lot of my support that has grown over the years is from law enforcement. They're out late at night, eyes open, trying to be observant, and they're more likely to see things than people said, well, I've never seen anything like that. So, well, do you ever go outside and look up? Then they kind of hedge right there, because being outdoors is definitely a factor. And I've spent a great deal of my life in the outdoors.
Well, Travis, it's been an honor speaking and meeting you. And let me tell you, it's been insightful in hearing your perspective on things. It's not what I expected, and it's actually refreshing to hear different points of view within this community. And again, appreciate you joining us on Third Phase of Moon and having the access to ask you some questions.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, Travis, you have a good one, and we'll see you. It's amazing. Travis has a lot to say, and he's been in the field for a long, long time. Believe him or not, he's true to what he believes, and again, eyewitnesses to back it up. It's an interesting case. Everybody, be safe out there. Blake Cousins. We'll see you next time.